App Planning for Success. Brought to you by Software Accelerator Playbook. On Instagram at S.A.Playbook.
Hello, and today on the podcast, we are talking about the problem with wireframes. Now, what do I mean by the problem with wireframes? The main idea here is that when you focus on how something looks, you can really get caught in the weeds in terms of, oh, the button should be there, oh, people should click on that, and you're so in the focus of how something looks that you're a little bit too zoomed in. You're assuming at this point that you're actually solving the problem correctly. You're assuming at this point that you're actually, doing the proper work, but a lot of people miss the whole idea of what should even be built in the first place. And what I mean by that is, if you're trying to get a plane off the ground, the worst thing to do is to put so much weight in the thing that it gets super, super, super heavy. If you want the plane to get off the ground, then you try to keep it as light as possible. Make it really, really easy to get off the ground. But if you haven't narrowed your focus before you go into wireframe, and if you're not super clear on exactly what's going to happen on each page, then you end up making decisions that are all kind of graphical decisions versus actually strategic decisions on how something should be accomplished. Now, this is not one size fits all advice. Obviously there's lots of different ways to get to an end point and to have success. But ultimately, what I find is that when the discussion revolves around the look of something, it's very, very easy to get kind of off base in terms of, oh, that should be there. Oh, that should be a little bit bigger. Oh, that should be a little bit smaller. Oh, that should be a little bit. It's all this discussion about kind of moving things around a room. Almost, if you want to imagine, you're moving furniture around a room and you're just kind of like moving the chair and then angling the chair and kind of taking a look at the room and then going, oh, the chair should be there. But then maybe the whole idea is that maybe that chair shouldn't even be in the room to begin with. Maybe it's the wrong chair. Maybe it's the wrong room. Maybe the whole idea of ordering furniture inside of a room, maybe that whole thing is just not even important because you don't need the furniture and you don't need the room. So the whole idea with, the problem with wireframes is that you really need to, understand exactly how you're helping your people get from, point A to B, and what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, and is this even solving a big enough problem that people will want to use it? Okay? So, if you are in the point right now where you're kind of trying to figure out what your app does, and you're in the visual stage trying to, make your wireframes, make your designs, and that's kind of the way that you're thinking about it, what I would encourage is take a step back and play without visuals. Get in a very, very, very boring spreadsheet. Just focus only on just details of what this thing will do and why it will do what it will do, and map out the user flow. And if you're mapping out the user flow, you're basically kind of writing with text or with maybe on a on some sort of flowchart system, some diagram system. Basically clarifying, first the user has to, create a project, and then after they create a project, then they do this other thing, and make sure that overall the before you even let yourself do that, make sure that you have as a kind of a guiding light the success or the value of what the person's even there for to begin with. Some people build apps assuming that people will want to use them. And that can be a very, very, very expensive mistake. Some people have spent tens of thousands of dollars thinking that if they just build this thing, that people will populate into it. And that's not the case. If the problem isn't big enough, then they're not going to use it. If it's really expensive to find these types of people and to convince them that, that this is the software for them to use, then that's also another problem. Okay, so all this stuff at the beginning that sometimes is really skipped by people, that whole, thought about the marketing. How is the marketing going to connect with this? How am I going to find my people? Is this a big enough problem for me to solve? If you don't do that work first and you're stuck in this idea of, the wireframes, it can feel exciting and it can feel like you're moving forward, because you're like, okay, first this is going to happen and then that, and oh, that looks really cool, and like, oh, I'm really excited. Like, you're getting excited about, this system, but it may actually be the wrong thing to build altogether. And so take a step back and really, really, really clarify the problems that you're solving and clarify the values that you're bringing to yourself and to the customers. Okay? If you need help with this, if you're curious about this and you want, help organizing a lot of information, you want, you feel like, a little bit disjointed with your wireframes, or you just feel like, you want to make sure that you're headed the right direction, please don't hesitate to DM me on Instagram at S.A.Playbook and get the conversation started. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later.